So, we all have something in common. We are all customers. The person who set up the lighting, the person that set up the sound, Zach, I am a customer. And over the last, I don't know, say 10 or 15 years, I can only speak for myself, but my expectations have gone up. Part of the reason my expectations have gone up is I'm sharing a lot more information than I ever have. Part of that information is location data. The reason for sharing more information is my expectations have gone up and I want more from the people that I'm buying for, products, services, whether it be the golf course, whether it be the grocery store, whether it be who's delivering me food to my door, my expectations have gone up. I tell you a little story, perfect example of where I see customer get a little bit upset, and I get upset when I see customers upset. My son graduated high school, 17 years old. His prom was last Friday, and my wife's organizing the prom, and I dropped him off, and I'm like kind of in an emotional situation, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go get some comfort food. So I go to a local franchise, a large franchise. Worldwide, they serve food. And I get there and I walk up to the counter and I order my food and I step aside and the woman behind me walks up, hands her mobile phone to the cashier and says, here's my mobile order, when's it gonna be ready? And the person on the other side, who is the same age as my son thereabout, says, sorry, it's gonna be about 20 minutes. She looked confused. She was like, what do you mean 20 minutes? I ordered this on the mobile phone 40 minutes ago, why is it another 20 minutes? I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. Let's not jump to conclusions. Maybe she's decided not to opt in to send a geofence alert to the restaurant to let them know that she's close by to pick up her food. Maybe that's the reason why the food's not ready. So she steps aside. She doesn't argue with them. Next person walks up. He's a delivery person who delivers the food to people like you and I who are waiting for the food to come to the door. He holds up his mobile phone, shows the delivery order. The person behind the counter goes, sorry, that's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes. He looks confused. Then this poor 17-year-old goes behind the counter and grabs a clipboard. This is a true story. A clipboard with white paper on it, with names written on it, with, I guess, the codes to the orders, and puts it down and says, can you write your order number and sign your name and print your name? And I'm standing there going, there's something wrong here. I don't know what's going on, but I can't see anyone winning in that scenario. Certainly not the 17-year-old kid that was on the other side of the counter. He was just flustered. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know what, it's funny, I got a presentation on customer experience and using location data. I don't understand why there wouldn't be an automatic geofence alert sent to the restaurant to make that food so that when they showed up, the food was ready for them, especially the delivery driver whose living depends on how many deliveries they can make in a day. If they can't make as many orders as they want, they don't make as much money. So is there anyone else out there that feels the same? Well, apparently 3/4 of people surveyed across the world say they're looking for personalized experiences. Their customer experiences are going up. So I'm not alone, and I would assume that there's people in this audience that their experiences and what they expect has gone up as well. 73% say, well, with technology advances, specifically things like location data, their expectations are that they get more personalized experiences based on proximity to locations, etc. 64% say when they spend more money that they expect even more personalized experience and more discounts and rebates. Well, I feel the exact same way. I feel like, hey, if I'm going to give you more information and I spend more money with you and I'm giving you the ability to track my location, then I should get more benefits for doing that. Is it a generational thing, though? Well, 63% of millennials and 58% of Gen X's, they are willing to share information with companies to get personalized offers and discounts. So we're hearing a common theme that more and more people are expecting more from their suppliers. What about the suppliers, though? Do the suppliers feel like they want to do a better job of providing better services? It sounds like it. 87% of mobile marketers using location targeting have said they've got more insights into their customer movement. Think about a mall and the aspects of managing rewards members who are rewards members at the mall and being able to understand how they flow and how you can maybe stick locations, retail outlets, based on the flow of the people moving through the mall, as an example. Now, I know we're here to talk about hospitality, but the point I'm trying to make is flow of data, flow of location services, and then you can send them promotions, can help improve customer experiences in the mall. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now here today we're talking about location information specifically, so I'm not going to digress and going into personalized emails and all that kind of stuff. It's really about location information, i.e. where am I right now and can I be marketed to, or can I get benefit from being in a specific location, right? Or utilize that as far as technology goes. So let's all agree for a second that raising expectations is a thing. It is for me, right? But here's the thing. I want to opt in, right? We don't want to be tracking everyone that doesn't want to be tracked. That's not really appropriate, number one. Number two, I don't want to opt into services that I'm not interested in, right? So I don't want promos coming to me that are not matching up with me associated to proximity or associated to promotions. However, if I'm a rewards member, there are certain benefits that I can get, one of which drives 99% of my behavior. And my wife will tell you this, I do not like lineups. If I can avoid lineups, I am absolutely ecstatic. So if I can order that food, that coffee, or avoid the lineup at the airport, or at the lineup at the check-in regarding going to the hotel or the resort, I will do everything I can. So I like becoming a rewards member program person and opting in so that I don't go through the experience that both the woman and the driver, the male driver, went through in the aspects of showing up and the food not being ready. I want my food to be ready. That's why I will opt in. In fact, I probably won't start to choose restaurants that won't give me that ability to have me show up with my food ready. But the single most important thing to me is the security of my information. Right? So I don't mind opting in as long as I know it's secure and that my information is not optimized, i.e. sold to someone else or monetized to make money off. That's the type of vendors that I buy from. Okay? And there has to be benefits. So for instance, 10% off at my golf course. I'm a part of the rewards member there. I get 10% off all food, all golf, all drinks, and everything that I go to the bar. These are all benefits. So let's talk about a specific story in the aspects of true experience, the negative. I'm going to talk about the positive in a second, leveraging location data. I got a 10-hour flight, 12-hour flight. I'm flying into, let's just say, Vegas. I call in and I say, hey, listen, I'm flying in. I know it's 1 p.m. When I arrive at the hotel. You quite often don't have a room ready, but I would really, really like to just go straight for a sleep because I'm going to be tired after 10, 12 hours of traveling. No worries, Mr. Williams. We'll make sure that happens for you. Okay, great. I arrive at the airport. I take the car to the front concierge. I walk through concierge. Guess what I'm hit with right away? Yes, I know I should have probably done mobile check-in, but I didn't. I go to the lineup. I get all the way to the front counter. Is my room ready? Sorry, Mr. Williams, it is not ready. It's about 25 minutes or 30 minutes away. That's the experience I had. Here's the experience I want. I fly in and I get an SMS alert to my phone. Sorry, Mr. Williams, I apologize, your room is not ready, but don't worry, we will greet you at concierge, pick up your luggage. By the way, here's a 25% off coupon to a restaurant that's just around the corner of the check-in. We will bring your luggage to. Here's the route in the app to the location of where the restaurant is. If you would like to choose another restaurant or like other points of interest, no problem, click this link. Thank you for staying with blank, right? Boom. That's the experience I want, and to be quite honest, that's kind of the experience I expect in the future because I'm willing to share my location information. I get to the concierge greets me, Mr. Williams, could I take your luggage? I've just breached a geofence. I breached a geofence at the airport. I am now in, concierge takes my luggage because they can see Mr. Williams is walking towards the front desk. I'm going from outdoors to indoors. I'm now routing myself. Oh, Mr. Williams, by the way, the restaurant's just around the corner, but here you can use the app to route. Oh yeah, thanks, bro. Oh yeah, okay, great, it's around the corner. Boom, I go to the restaurant, I get an SMS alert, my luggage is put there. That's fantastic. That's the type of experience I want. That's what I expect if I'm opting in for location data. This is what a lot of hospitality companies in the world are trying to do. They're trying to figure out ways to create the better workflows in their hotels and the resorts, right? This could be a amusement park or anything that anywhere people are going for a resort experience, like in Vegas, right? They're trying to increase customer satisfaction levels using location data, and one of the ways they're measuring whether or not they're having success is this promotional discounts and the aspects of knowing that if I've used that 25% off. Now, not all the rewards members will sign up. Some non-reward members will not sign up to be opted in. Not all reward members will, but a high percentage of reward members may. And at the end of the day, if they see those benefits, if they get the benefits of leveraging location data and all the personalized services they can get, they're more likely to tell everyone else in the elevator, oh, you know what I just got? I got 25% off a reservation down at whatever, and that will spread the word, and more people will opt in. Now, what we know in the travel industry is that not everybody's the same. So talking about personalization for a second, a business traveler, which we're all here right now, knows you've got, oh, I've got to go to a session event, I've got a client meeting, I've got to book a meeting that's just changed in my calendar, it's changed. All of that is involving location data, right? And would be better suited to help us if we have the information in our hands regarding organizing and scheduling our events, especially when it comes to checking in and all that kind of stuff. So the business travel got its own needs. And then you've got your convention attendee in the aspects of, or the per convention organizers who are sitting there going, well, wait a minute here. Like, think about reInvent. We've got how many hotels that resorts we're dealing with and how many speaking engagements, and we've got shuttles between them. This is all location data dependent, right? And the organization, especially if you're a convention attendee coming in and wanting to figure out your schedule, right? Then you've got your vacation traveler who's brought the kids and wants to be able to leave their kids with a hotel nanny and know where they are. Oh, the kids are by the pool. I can see they're by the pool. We can stay a little bit longer at the restaurant and have more time. And then there's other things going on, like, for instance, the F1 that was just here last week, a bit of chaos, as we saw. But at the end of the day, moving around became a little bit more difficult. So having that information while you were here, if you were doing something else or at the event, could help with regarding location information. With me specifically, a few years back, come to an event like this. I had sessions on one side. I was hosting customers at an event, a dinner, a battle of the pianos at another side. I was working around my schedule. And then, lo and behold, I had a group of people that I was traveling with, and one of them was in a wheelchair and needed accessibility routes. So that's another personalized thing in the aspects of we need to route someone through the hotel to get specific ways to get through the hotel. This is all about personalization and customization. Now I'm going to talk about Amazon Location Service, and Zach is going to dive a little bit more deeper into the technical aspects of what we're talking. So Amazon Location Service has 14 different styles of maps. We have truck mode, we have bike road mode, we have dark mode, light mode, we have satellite mode, etc. Remember when I was talking about those points of interest? We have Places API in the aspects of points of interest, so you can see your restaurants, your ATMs, etc. We've got trackers and the ability to track both the mobile devices and IoT. So something we're going to dive into is connecting you with assets. So for instance, if I had someone that was traveling with me that wasn't feeling very well and I wanted to locate a wheelchair, location data could help us locate a wheelchair nearby, and then we can go get that wheelchair and bring it to the person who's not feeling well to take them to wherever we're taking them to. So tracking information, whether it be IoT or mobile devices. And then we've got routes, one-to-one in the aspects of I was being routed to the restaurant, but how about one-to-many in the aspects of if you're a premium customer in an event or something like that and we're wanting to give them all gifts at their hotel rooms, we want to do one-to-many delivery or many-many to delivery in the aspects of matrix routing, etc. And then last but not least, Big topic for us, the geofencing alerts, which I just talked about. Landed at the airport, that's a geofence wrapped around the airport, geofence around the entrance to the hotel, et cetera, and geofencing. We have four different data providers for map providers. We have Esri here, OpenStreetMaps, Open Data, and Grab Maps. Each of these data providers are suited for specific use cases or specific regions. So for instance, Grab Maps we just launched in ASEAN, and the reason why that is from an external map provider, they are focused on the ASEAN region. Here in Esri focuses on the whole world, but they're better suited in certain regions than others, and a couple of them do different things for each of the customers. So depending on the data provider or the region that you're targeting, you can choose a data provider. Some of our customers use 2 or 3 data providers at once, i.e. if I'm in North America, but I'm deploying and opening a business in ASEAN, I'm going to want to use 2 data providers, or I can flip between them. It's a simple API call to switch. The other thing is that AWS, obviously, we're integrated with multiple other AWS services in the aspects of Event Bridge, Amplify, IoT Core, which we'll go into more details when we talk about the architecture and stuff like that. Long and the short of it is Amazon Location Service is built to give you the best data quality we can. That's why we offer the multiple data providers. We do this in a cost-effective way in the aspects of always adding features and capabilities around lowering the cost. As you can imagine, it's expensive to monitor and manage tracking of both assets and obviously people moving inside and outside of geofenced areas. In fact, just in the last month, we lowered our prices, and now we've given a 78% rebate, depending on the tier that you enter, for both tracking and geofencing. We're always looking, as AWS is, for ways to lower costs for customers. Ease of integration into multiple other services. Zach's going to expand upon that. And in the end of the day, privacy and security. Our data providers don't even know who's accessing the location information. All they know is that they're using Amazon Location Service. Over to you, Zach.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. So Mark's vision of the future when he goes to pick up his comfort food is great. But how do we actually get to that point? What are some of the AWS services and some of the AWS architectures that we can take advantage of to get to this point where you as a customer have a seamless experience using location data? So when we think about this type of solution, we have to think about the requirements. The first is indoor and outdoor tracking. Outdoor tracking is a pretty easy problem to solve. And vehicles and mobile phones have been solving this for a long time with GPS as a primary reliance in the outdoor space. When it comes to indoors, however, there's more challenges that exist. So we'll talk a little bit about how we can work with indoor tracking as well as the outdoor tracking when it comes to Amazon Location Service. Alerting to specific areas. Where our customers want to be or where we want our customers to be is incredibly important. We can know their location, but unless we know when they enter and exit a specific area, we're not going to be able to perform any actions on that information. Relying on existing network infrastructure this one's kind of an optional step. A lot of times customers won't want to deploy any additional hardware or software to actually track customers as they're moving through, say, a resort facility. And so we want to be able to rely on existing infrastructure that's already there. So we'll talk about some ways to do that. And finally, as Mark alluded to, security is incredibly important. We want to make sure that when a customer is being tracked, that data is being encrypted and that data is being stored securely when we are storing that location data as well as the geofence information. So when it comes to the architecture, what are some of the requirements? The first is actually the positioning infrastructure itself. So as I mentioned, indoor and outdoor, GPS can be used for an outdoor location, especially when you're walking around out on the strip, you're going to be using GPS, and it's going to be fairly accurate. But indoors, we have to think about additional technologies. So some of the ways that we can address this are cellular tower information, Wi-Fi information, as well as Bluetooth technologies such as BLE beacons. We want to be able to identify who the customer is. So actually understanding a phone, which I left my phone on the podium, or I'd use it as a demo here, actually connecting the phone to me, knowing that I'm the person and I'm the member, the rewards member behind it, is what's needed here. So how do we make sure that we're connecting the device that's being tracked back to the customer? Security. Again, I touched on this, but the customer needs to have that assurance that the data that they are sending to the resort or the hospitality provider is secure, and that their data is not being used for advertising or being sold to third parties. And finally, geofencing. Where's the customer in relation to where we want them to be or where they want to be? So we need all of this. So to address this, we can use Amazon Location Service. Amazon Location Service has two key functionalities that will enable us to do this. The first is trackers. If you have a latitude and a longitude, you can use Amazon Location Service trackers. Trackers will securely store your data for up to 30 days with the optional customer managed key encryption to ensure that that data is stored even more securely. Amazon Location Service trackers also support metadata to help identify the customer. So when you're sending a location update, you can include things like a member rewards ID or information about a particular floor, where the customer is in the, for instance, we're in the MGM Grand Convention Center, we're in the Chairman's Ballroom, I think, and that information can be sent along with the location data to help understand where the customers have been. Additionally, we offer filtering. If you're like me, you may not stay out very late and you may spend 12 hours in your hotel room at reInvent overnight sleeping. In that case, your phone is not moving. Your device isn't moving. And so we don't want to be capturing all that information and evaluating it against a geofence every time. So Amazon Location Service offers 3 different types of filtering based off of accuracy, distance, or time. When it comes to geofences, you can draw a geofence polygon that is a just generic polygon around a specific shape, or you can use circular geofences. Circular geofences allow you to pick a single center point, and have a radius around that center point to alert on when a customer enters that particular location. This can be great for temporary geofences where a customer is, say, going to a hotel that you may not have in your system. You can easily geocode that address and create a geofence using that circle. You can have up to 50,000 geofences in a single geofence collection. So a tracker update can be evaluated against 50,000 geofences at one time, which means that you can save a ton of money when you are evaluating these geofences, because the primary cost when tracking is actually the cost of evaluating geofences. So by designing your geofence strategy to include as many as possible in a collection, you can actually significantly optimize your costs. But we can't do it alone. We can't have just Amazon Location Service. We need to utilize other AWS services. So this is an IoT talk, so we'd be remiss to not talk about IoT. So when it comes to Amazon Location Service, we're going to talk about a reference architecture on the next slide. But the first thing is the ingestion piece. How do you get data into Amazon Location Service? You can call Amazon Location Service directly using any of the AWS SDKs, or you can use IoT Core to ingest your location data from asset tracking devices or low energy beacons, or however you choose to have your tracking devices set up. Finally, you can use other services such as Kinesis or API Gateway or any other AWS service that can interact with another AWS service to ingest that information. We have customers who are using Kinesis to ingest data from their on-premise Wi-Fi infrastructure to actually send location updates into Amazon Location Service. But let's say that you don't have a location for a particular user, but you do have other information. IoT Core Device Location is another service that can help out with this particular use case. IoT Core Device Location allows you to take IP addresses, GNSS nav messages, which are used with low-power asset tracking devices, Wi-Fi access point information, as well as, I'm blanking on the last one, as well as, I think I already mentioned IP address locations. In order to resolve a location with a given accuracy when a GPS device is not available. So IoT Core Device Location can be used for indoor tracking. So as you're walking around, your device can actually be sniffing for different Wi-Fi access points and gathering those up and sending them to IoT Core Device Location. We also have analytics. So storing the customer location data is great, but what are you going to do with it? How are you actually going to use it? So that's where we can use services such as S3 to store that location data into a data lake, and then use services like Amazon Athena to perform advanced SQL queries on that data. Finally, of course, we can use Amazon QuickSight to actually visualize these analysis results, as well as visualize locations on a map. Amazon QuickSight actually uses Amazon Location Service for its base maps, so you're using it in more ways than one when using QuickSight. When we talk about application integration, Mark hinted at EventBridge, and EventBridge is one of the most powerful tools that we have for Amazon Location Service. EventBridge allows you to react to location update events as well as geofence events and send notifications to multiple downstream AWS services. A very simple example, and one that we'll show in the architecture diagram, is Amazon SNS. So sending an SNS notification, which could be an SMS email, an SMS alert, it could be an email. So to Mark's point, he got the text message that his room wasn't ready. That could be sent using SNS because he's entered a geofence and the backend system has now said, okay, well, your room isn't ready, so we're going to send you an alert. However, EventBridge can also be connected to services like AWS Lambda. If you've looked at any reference architecture from AWS, there's a good chance that Lambda is thrown in there somewhere. Lambda is really the glue that holds together a lot of our AWS services. So using Lambda, you can also integrate with other third-party services such as CRM or POS systems. A great example of this would be there's a particular bar that I like to frequent every year when I'm here at reInvent. I go there once during the time I'm here, but I've been every year that I've been here. And I always try to make it, and it would be great if that particular bar knew that I was here and knew that I was in Vegas, so they could send me a notification that says, hey, 20% off your first drink, to entice me to come in because they want me to keep coming back. Because they've used their CRM system on a geofence breach to know that I'm actually in town, or to know that I have entered their geofence, to know that I've actually been there and they want me to come back. Finally, we need a way to visualize our customers on a map. For that, we can use AWS Amplify and Amplify Geo. Amplify Geo allows you to easily use place searches, maps, and geofences on a map, and allows developers to easily add these capabilities with just a few lines of code. So this is our reference architecture, and this is actually a guidance for asset tracking on AWS IoT and Amazon Location Service. Now there is a QR code at the top left. I see some phones out, grabbing a snapshot of that will take you to the official guidance page. So you're probably thinking to yourself, well, we're not talking about tracking assets here. We're talking about tracking customers. We're talking about tracking people, so why does this apply? You'll notice that a lot of the services that were on the previous slide are also on this diagram. We have a sensor fleet that can be easily replaced with a fleet of mobile phones, that can easily be replaced with a fleet of customers. Those are being ingested via AWS IoT Core in this particular example. And then it takes a couple different paths depending on whether there's metadata or not included with the request. So if it's a customer that is opted into the rewards system and has that information, then it can go to an AWS Lambda function, which could enrich a CRM system and also update Amazon location service trackers. Or if it's an anonymous update, it can go straight to Amazon location service using an IoT Core rules engine action that we've built and that was released last year. Once we get into Amazon location service, we can react to that event using Amazon Event Bridge. We can send out that SNS message, or again, we can send out to AWS Lambda to enrich a third-party API or a database or any other information or any other location where you have customer information stored. Finally, we have the long-term storage and analytics piece where, again, we talked about the data. All those location updates can be stored in Amazon S3 and then queried using Amazon Athena as well as Amazon QuickSight. If you're interested in learning more about this, again, please scan the QR code on the top left. There's information on that page as well as the well-architected, as well as how this particular guidance adheres to the well-architected framework, as well as a blog post where we talk about the IoT Core action that is associated with this particular guidance. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Mark for this slide.
So when Zach and I were putting this together, we thought, we should really talk not just about the hospitality, well, more so about hospitality, but the fact that a lot of our customers come to us at different stages, talking about location and data and how to leverage it. In the hospitality market or industry, they're talking as well about futures. Location data, the ways it can be utilized to help you improve your customer experience is actually quite off the charts. There's thousands and thousands of different ways. We've talked about just using the geofencing and the aspects of alerts for a person that's picking up food, but also the check-in and stuff like that. But really, when you talk about location data, once you start tracking that information, you'll start to realize there's a whole bunch of other places that could be used. One of which is trip planning. So reality is that, especially when we come to reInvent, we've all got sessions we go to, there's customer meetings. Really, location data should be utilized the second that you're booking that calendar events, right? At the end of the day, if I'm booking a dinner on one side of town and I've got a client meeting on another side of town and I want to go to a speaking session and I'm speaking somewhere else, ideally location information would be fed to us to say, your probability of making your reservation at your favorite restaurant has just gone down by 20%. The trip planning regarding location information is an area that our hospitality customers are starting to talk to us about leveraging location data. And then if you're going to connect the IoT devices to that, so for instance, a perfect example, I did not know this existed, but it does. Apparently, some people who come to Vegas fall in love with certain slot machines, okay? And they love the Pirate one. And when Mary comes to Vegas, she wants to go to the Pirate one. Now, that Pirate slot machine doesn't move very much, but it does move, and it can go from hotel to hotel. You want Mary to have the best experience possible. You want to let her know when she lands where her favorite slot machine is. Okay? So tying those assets, we're talking about the wheelchairs. Connecting resource availability. Here's one. Gonna love this. This is gonna come. At the end of the day, I went into a restaurant and I tried to book a reservation. When that reservation goes from 100% capacity down to 80, wouldn't it be nice to know, especially if I'm close by, that now that restaurant that I was walking clients to a different restaurant is now available? And why do we know it's available? Because the reservations of the people that have opted in have now said they're no longer going to use that table of 20, and now that table of 20 is available, and now I'm getting an SMS alert that's telling me that that resource is available. So connecting your resources to your proximity to the location of the individuals being tracked, these are the types of things. And then on top of that, my favorite thing to do, shop, especially when I come to Vegas, If I go in and I look at a pair of pants 4 or 5 times, but the shirt was a little expensive and I'm not really a big fan, but there's 2 hotels that I'm walking past quite frankly, and then all of a sudden the month changes, so it goes from like November to December, and then that store has a rebate on that shirt. If they know that I'm close by, then they can send me out an alert saying, hey, listen, I know you looked at that shirt 5 times. Do you want us to put it aside? Yes, I do. That's using location data in order to improve customer experiences.
So how do we actually do this with Amazon Location Service? The first piece is the trip planning, the routing. Amazon Location Service offers routing through our data providers that allow you to get from point A to point B, or from multiple point A's to multiple point B's. If you've tried to get around reInvent, especially this week with all the leftovers from F1, you'll know that getting around is a little bit more challenging than usual. Our routing takes into account things like traffic and road closures, so you can ensure that you're getting the most accurate route when you're going from, say, the MGM Grand to the Cosmopolitan, which is where I'm going after this presentation. Using IoT to track assets. So this is one where we can leverage existing technologies as well as some new and emerging technologies. The reference that Mark made to wheelchairs, this is a great reference we're seeing in healthcare. We're seeing this in all sorts of places where sensors are being attached to assets like wheelchairs, like baggage carts, and we're finding that even at a fast food restaurant I went to recently, the little tabletop antenna, the little tabletop numbers had sensors in them, had tags in them, so they knew exactly which table I was at. And I had no idea that existed. I thought that was really cool. And so all of this is a way for us to understand not only where resources need to go, but where our customers are and connect those to where the resources are. We can use technology such as AWS IoT Core for LoRaWAN and Amazon Sidewalk to provide low-power networks to power these asset tracking devices. Connecting resource availability, one of the things that was new for me this year, I don't know how long they've been here, but as I was walking around, as I was at the monorail station, I saw kiosks where they were selling phone chargers that you could rent. And I thought that was just the best idea. Like, I never thought about that. But they had to have known to put those in strategic locations. Like, they weren't just placed randomly. They were there for a reason. And so understanding where customers are most likely to find those and say, yeah, my phone needs a charge, and purchase one and rent one out, is using that location data to connect those resources back to our customer locations. Finally, I use the example of the whiskey bar that I like to go to, but tying point of sale systems and past purchases to promotions based on proximity is another way that we can use Amazon Location Service. Using event-driven architectures like Amazon EventBridge and AWS Lambda, we can connect to these third-party systems and enrich customer data using that location information. So now we're going to go into the lessons learned. I'll start with Mark, and then I'll go into some on the technical side.
Yeah, so the other thing we talked about when doing this presentation was that we're working backwards from the customer's pain points, and this is where we're going to get out of hospitality and really talk about some customers are already using location data and they're very aware of what that can be done with it, and they may be switching providers. Some customers might be just getting into this brand new, so we wanted to cover off some lessons learned. The first thing is working backwards from what the use cases are that you're trying to solve, and then breaking them down into pieces, and therefore you can do a POC. We suggest a POC to proof point out that a use case can be successful. We've had multiple customers do specific proof of concepts and then decide, okay, that's maybe not the best one to do first because it was a lot more complicated than we thought, leveraging location data, and they've switched it out. The good news with AWS is we have programs in place to help with POCs. We also have a free tier. So Amazon Location Service you can use for 3 months, and there's a certain cap on the amount of usage to test out the location data using Amazon Location Service.
Yeah, So
Apologies.
yeah, you can keep it. In addition to that, when choosing the right technology, we want to make sure that we have a full understanding of the service. And this is something that when we worked with customers, we really were working with them on the tracker filtering as well as the accuracy. Understanding how accurate you can actually get your device locations to be, whether that's indoors or outdoors, is going to be crucial to understanding how you define your geofence strategy. If you're working with lower accuracy indoor information and you're defining very tight geofences around particular restaurants or particular locations, you may struggle with getting an accurate result, or you may struggle with lots of false positives. And also leveraging AWS native services for that event-driven architecture. So again, we are using EventBridge to send those notifications out to our data lake in S3 for further analytics. We're also using AWS Lambda to connect to third-party services, all with event-driven architectures to reduce costs and reduce the overhead on customer infrastructure management.
So improving customer experiences by giving and leveraging location data for entering and exiting geofence, routing them to specific destinations, tying assets to a specific proximity to a location, et cetera, making sure that they can opt in, especially rewards program members, and making sure it's in a secure environment, and choosing a specific data provider associated to the region or territory that you're using it. And we also learned about how the fact that indoor and outdoor have and come with its own challenges.
Yeah, and then part of this is also choosing the right technology. So in this case, we've highlighted Amazon Location Service for tracking and geofencing. We've highlighted the integrations with other AWS services and how you can use Amazon Location Service to build out your customer experience platform and increase the value that customers are getting from your business.
Working backwards from what use cases you're trying to address to find out the specific use case that fits with you to do a POC. Zach and I are on calls every week talking to customers, walking through, depending on what the stages are. We'd love to talk to you after we speak, even after Q&A. If you'd like to speak to us and go into some more details, we'd love to do that. But the bottom line is POCs, leverage the free tier, talk to your AWS account manager how we can do more to help you figure out what you can do with location data.
We've got some great resources to help get you started. Up on the screen, we have 4 different QR codes, so please feel free to grab each one, grab a picture of the whole slide, however you want to consume it. We have our interactive demo. This is a new site that we just recently launched. It's a great tool to help get you started with using Amazon Location Service, exploring our different data providers, exploring our routing, as well as using tracking and geofencing. We also have an Android app, but the app works great on mobile as well. For the iPhone users, we unfortunately do not have an iOS app at this time. We have a Getting Started training on the AWS Skill Builder platform that's a great introduction to Amazon Location Service and understanding more about the service. It's a very high-level overview that goes over some of the concepts as well as some of the basic commands and API usage that you can use with the service. We have a Getting Started workshop. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but you're actually building an interactive web app that allows you to explore services such as our place index, routing, tracking, and geofencing. You're basically building something similar to the interactive demo, but you're getting a look behind the scenes and seeing how the APIs work and how you can interact with the service. And finally, if you're interested in building your own application, we have our Amazon Location quick start guides that allow you to get started with building a web app or an Android app quickly and easily using open source code that we have hosted on GitHub.
So thank you. My name is Mark Williams. I'm the go-to-market specialist for Amazon Location Service.
My name's Zach Elliott. I'm the SA specialist for Amazon Location Service.
We would like to remind you of the survey in the mobile app. I did not remember this last year, and I was very upset about it. So if you could take a moment to do it, we will move right into Q&A. We're going to try right off the bat just to do it without a mic. But if we need a mic, then I will step down, and we'll go from there, and we'll answer your questions. Thank you very much for your time.